Hey everyone, and welcome to a new Nocode tutorial for Nocode HQ. And today's tutorial, we're going to build a simple news app with Adalo. So basically, it will be a mobile app displaying the latest news, and we will basically separate our app into various tab menus with the latest news and also via categories. So, for example, news about sports, news about nature, whatever. And yeah, so what you will need is just an Adalo account, and once you create an account, you want to click on create a new app, and you will be shown this pop-up, and you want to select native mobile app. Let's click next. We're going to start from a blank screen, and you can give your app a name. I'm going to call it news app. You can give it a color as well. I'm going to choose red as a primary color, and maybe yeah, something like this as a secondary. Okay, and let's click create, and we'll be brought into the app editor of Adalo, which is quite intuitive and easy to use. This is going to be a very simple tutorial, which will show you the basics of Adalo collections, which is basically the database or the data types within your database, and how to create your first app in less than 30 minutes. So what we have here is our sign up page, our login page, and our home page. And if a user isn't logged in to your app, he will be brought to this page and can either sign up, make a new account, or log in. And once he or she is logged in, he will be brought to the home screen. And if user stays logged in, this will become the default screen or the default starting screen, to be more precise. Let's go ahead to database and start creating our data structure. Again, quite simple. We want to add a collection, so a data type, which is going to be a news article. Okay, we're just going to call it news article. Let's click add. And a news article will consist of a title, okay, or let's call it heading. It will also have a subheading or a subtitle, okay. Let's click save. We also want to have an image, of course, so I'm just going to add an image. Okay, let's click save. And the main content, which is of type text, okay. We want to have the date of when this news article was published, so just a date field here. Let's just call that date, and let's click save. We also want to create another collection, and this collection is going to be called category. Okay, let's just click add, and a category will just consist of a name basically, okay, and an image as well, and that's basically it. So let's just add the image here. Okay, and let's click save. And our third collection will be the type author. So each article has to be composed by an author, and we want to be able to see that within our app and also see all the articles of a specific author. So let's just add that collection here. We're going to call that author. Let's click add, and the author has a full name. And we can also add an image for the author, or maybe a profile image, we can call it. Okay. And let's click add here or save. And yeah, what we want to do now, we want to basically create the relations between these three collections. So they have to be kind of connected, because of course a category has to be assigned to a news article, an author has to be assigned to a news article as well, and so on. So we're going to do that by going to news article first, adding a new property of type relation to the category. Okay, and now you can decide basically what kind of relation it is, and we can say, okay, a category can have multiple news articles, and a news article belongs to one category. And that's exactly the kind of relation we want, because one category can obviously contain multiple articles, but one article can only be assigned or can only have one category, and one article can't be in the category nature and sports, for example. So let's select that relation. Let's click done. And save, and let's add another relation. So again, here under relation, this time a relation to an author. And again, we're going to choose the first relation, because one author can have multiple articles, but one article should belong to one author, and that's the type of relation we want to select. So let's click done and save, and that's basically the relation now between news article, category, and news article and author. And the fields will also be created here. So under category, we now have the relation to a news article, and under author, we have the relation also to news article. And yeah, that's basically it regarding our database. What I want to do next is start editing our application. So I'm going to go to components here, and we're going to start by building out our home screen here. And the first thing I want to do, I want to add a form of navigation, and this is going to be our tab bar here. So let me just drag that here, okay? And you can now decide what your tab bar should say. And I'm gonna basically kind of hard code or decide before which categories will be the individual menu items. So for example, the first tab should be latest news. The second tab should be, let's have it sports, for example. The third tab should be, let's call it finance or news about finance. And the fourth tab, let's maybe have, what can we also use? Maybe weather. I don't know if maybe you want to have that as well in your news app. And the fifth tab we want to remove. We don't need that. Okay, and let's actually now change the icons as well. So for the first tab, we want to change the latest news maybe to maybe exclamation or latest, or maybe just a list like this. Okay. The second tab for sports, we want to choose maybe a ball or fitness, yeah, like this. The third tab is finance. We want to choose something like money, dollar, like this. And the fourth tab is weather. So let's choose the sun maybe. So now we have our menu here set, and we have this latest news, which will display the latest news. The sports will display all the news articles within the category sports, finance for finance, of course, and weather for the weather. And let's go ahead now and start creating our list. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on add component. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a list here. And under list, we want to add a custom list, which we can define ourselves. So let's just drag that here onto our screen. And we can define, okay, what is this a list of? And in this case, it's a list of articles, news articles. And we want to filter by created date. And we want to display the newest to oldest first, because we're currently on the screen here or on the tab menu, latest news. The latest news articles will be displayed from top to bottom. You could define here more different information, but I'm just going to increase the item spacing, and we can also define what components should be within our news article. So let's actually go ahead and make it a bit bigger here, like this, and we can go ahead and, for example, add a new component because I want to add an image. So let's search for image. I'm just going to drag that on top here, and this will now be displayed within each of our custom list item here. So let's just drag that. Where is the image? Okay, I lost it, so let's add it again. Let's go here under custom list again, components, and the image is here, should be here, like this. Okay, it's here, and we can resize it accordingly. I'm going to position it at the side here, okay. Let's make the text here shorter, and this as well, and let's place the image here in the center, like this, and like this, and that looks quite nice. And we can now define, for example, okay, for the components, the title here should not say title. It should say whatever the current news article heading is, okay? Let's go back. And the components, the text subtitle should be whatever the current news article subtitle is, okay? And if we go back, the image should, of course, be from database, the current news article image. And we want to actually round this whole thing. So I'm going to add a rounding effect here, and let's just enter the number manually, like 1000. Or actually, let's leave it as a rectangle. I think that's more fitting for a news app. And if you want, you can add another field. I'm actually going to add another field for the date, which might be relevant. So under components, let me actually make the rectangle a bit wider. Okay, like this. We can now make the image wider as well. And let me add another text as well. So I'm going to go back under components. Let's add another component, a text. I'm going to drag that here. And let's resize that accordingly. And let's also make that lighter. So I'm going to make it regular. And let's make it grayish like this. And smaller as well. And this is going to say this text date published. and then whatever the current news article created date is. One small error I made, I created a new field called date for the created date, but actually that is created automatically by Adalo, so we don't actually need the field date here. I'm just going to use the created date, and we can go to our database here under collection, just remove the date field here. We don't need that. Okay, great. So that looks really nice already, to be honest. What we want to do now, we want to create a detailed view of a news article, basically. So this should just show the card list or a more general view, but when one of those cards is clicked, of course, the user should be brought to the detailed view. So I'm just going to add another screen this time, and we can actually use a predefined screen here, and I think the info screen might or is quite fitting, so let's just select that. I'm going to call the screen article. Okay, let's create a screen, and we can now link from this list here to each article screen. So I'm just going to select the list again, and I'm going to say, okay, I want to add an action, a click action. I want to link to the screen article, which we just created using a push transition. And now, for example, if a user clicks on this card here, he'll be brought to the subsequent news article, the detailed view of that. And we can define the way this looks as well. So I'm going to click here on the app bar. I'm going to say, okay, the title shouldn't say article. It should actually say the current news article heading. Yeah. For the text here, let's actually remove all of this, and let's just add the current news article heading as well again. And let's center this maybe like this and make that a bit bigger. Okay, I'm going to position that here. Let's remove the button, we don't need that. And the image, let's say, okay, the image source is going to be database, current news article image. Okay, let's add another text, and this text is going to be centered here. We're going to center that again, but this time it's going to stay a bit smaller, and we're going to say, okay, this is going to be the current news article subtitle. Okay. Beneath that, we want another text, which is the content, the main content of our article. So I'm just going to define that here. So this is going to be the current news article content. Edit the style. Let's actually make that a bit grayish, so it's lighter to the eye, and regular, and actually a bit more dark. And let's make that smaller, 13 maybe. Okay. Another thing I want to add is just basically the author. Okay, so I want to add just a link, so we can add a text here like this, and this is going to say, okay, author, and then whatever the current news article author full name is. Okay, and let's actually place that, or we can place it at the bottom left. Okay, sure. And I also want to add the category, so let's copy that again, and I'm gonna, for this text, I'm gonna say, okay, this is gonna say category, not author full name, but this is gonna be the current news article category name. Okay, great. That should be it. We can define the arrow back, but I think it's already defined by Adalo. We just want to link back, and this should work already quite fine. What I'm going to do next, actually, I'm just going to copy this page basically and apply the same style, but just for the individual categories. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to add a new screen, a blank screen, and I'm going to call it sports. And I'm just going to copy all the components from our latest news screen here. Let's actually rename that here in the title section. So this is going to be latest news. And let's copy all components. I'm going to copy the app bar, drag that here. I'm going to copy the custom list and drag that here. And I'm going to copy the app bar as well, the tab bar. For the tab bar now, however, we want to set the active tab to the sports tab, which is the second tab. So the active tab is going to be the second tab. And yeah. For list itself, we want to add a filter. Okay, we don't want to display all news articles now. We actually want to add a filter. We want to display all news articles where the category's name is equal to sports. Okay, and that's basically it. Quite simple. And I'm just going to repeat all of this now for the other categories. So I'm going to create another screen, a blank screen again. I'm going to call it finance. Let's create the screen. And I'm going to copy the app bar here and the tab bar here. And I'm going to define, okay, active tab is the third tab. Copy this custom list, paste it here. And this is going to be where the current news article category should equal finance. Okay, let's rename the app titles here as well. This is going to be sports, and this is going to be finance. Let's actually also create the link already. So we're going to start off here on the home screen. When the second tab is pressed, we want to link to our page or screen, which is sports, with no transition. And we unfortunately have to do that for all now. When the third tab is clicked, we want to link to finance with no transition. Okay, and we don't have the fourth screen yet. Let me just create that quickly. Let's create a new screen here. I'm going to call it weather. Okay, and when the weather tab, the fourth tab is pressed, we want to link to our weather screen with no transition. And let's actually copy the app tab bar now again. It's going to be easier than manually making these links again. So I'm just going to copy this, delete that here, paste it again, and just now make the active tab the second tab, and the other links should be inside already. So again, I'm going to delete this, copy it, paste it, and set the third tab to the active tab, and again paste it here. And now we're going to set the active tab to the fourth tab, and we just have to create a link for the first tab. So when this is pressed, we want to link to our home screen with no transition. And yeah, we just have to copy this custom list again, same thing. And let's copy the app bar here as well. Rename that, so the title should be weather. Let's make this equal to weather. And yeah, the link should also exist already, so we're going to link to an article in each of these custom lists. And yeah, that's already the main structure ready of our app. I just want to create one more thing. I want to create an author page. So when this link here is clicked, we should be brought to another screen which displays the author with his image, his name, and all the articles he or she has already published. So let's just create that, add a new screen here. And this is going to be, let's create actually an app bar screen here again. This is going to be author. Okay, let's create the screen. And when this text here is clicked, so on click, we want to link to our author screen with a push transition. And under the author screen, we now have access to basically the current screen's author. And the name here we can change now to the current news article author full name. We're going to add an image as well. So let's search for image, drag that here. And let's make this rounded this time. So I'm going to just add a rounding here like this, and let's make it a perfect circle kind of. So it has to be equal width and height. Okay, let's position in the center, and this is going to be the current news article's author profile image. And let's actually make it a bit smaller. I think 170 maybe. Okay, and beneath this, I just want to have a text again, and this text should say the current news article's author full name. Let's center this whole thing. Let's make it a bit bigger. Okay, and beneath that we want to have a custom list again. So I'm just going to copy this list here, paste that here. We're actually going to need a bit more space like this. Okay, and this time the filter is going to be not the category. However, we want to display the current news article author's news article. So what does that mean? So basically, because we're linking from this screen to this screen, Adalo will send the current news article of this news article to this page. We have access to the current news article here. Each news article is assigned an author, and we want to display all this author's articles in this list. Okay, and this list should then again link back when one article is clicked to the detailed article page. I hope that makes sense. It shouldn't be too complicated, but yeah. Okay, yeah, and that's basically it regarding application. What I want to do before testing, I actually want to add some data, otherwise our whole app will be completely empty. So let's actually add under news article, let's click view edit records, let's add a news article. And let's, for example, the heading is weather in Berlin is great. Awesome weather in Berlin. And I'm just going to upload the image, and the content I'm just going to upload something random. Okay, we're going to leave the category and the author blank because we don't have one yet. Let's click save. Let's go to author actually now. I'm just going to create a new record, so a new author, which is going to be me, and I'm going to upload. Okay, let's click save. Okay, and let's also add the categories we need. So let's click view edit records, and we will need the sports, finance, and weather categories. So let's view edit records, add a category, sports. Actually, we don't need the image. There was also something I added, which we don't need, but let's just leave that blank. So we need sports, we need finance, and we need weather. So these are our 3 categories. And let's go now back to our news article here. And for news article that we created, we can now define, okay, this should be in the category weather, and the author should be Noel Lawrence. Let's click save. Let's add another news article. Let's, for example, call it FC Barcelona wins Champions League, something like this, for example. I don't know, Champions League. Let's add an image again. Okay, and for the content, again, I'm just going to enter a random text. Okay, the category is going to be sports. The author is going to be me again. Let's click save. And let me add one last article, but actually I want to create another author. So let's just create another author, add author, test author, and we're going to upload an image quickly. Okay, I'm going to click save, and now we can create our 3rd news article. So I'm going to click view edit records. Let's add another article. We have one for sports and weather. Now we want one for finance. Let's say new all-time high for Dow Jones. Dow Jones breaks all records, and let's add it. And for the content, again, I'm just going to add some random text. This is just placeholder information now. Oops. This is just placeholder information now. So, of course, you want to add real articles, hopefully. So under author, I'm now going to select the test author. Let's click save. And we should now have enough data to get an overview of our app and to see if everything works. Let's actually go ahead and click on preview. The only thing right now is one additional thing is currently a user has to sign up and or log in to access your app. And to be honest, I don't think that's necessary for this kind of app because it's a news app, and why should someone be able to log in? Currently, there's no added benefit of that. If we would have like a functionality like adding an article to your favorites list, which we could do, of course, then it might be useful, but in this case, we don't actually need that. So let's go ahead and delete these screens. So we don't need the sign up screen, let's delete it. And we don't need the login screen, so let's delete that as well. So let's go ahead and click on preview. Okay, and we are in the preview view now of our Adalo news app. I'm filming this a few days later, but everything seems to work nicely. We're on basically the home page or home tab of our application, which is called latest news, and all news articles basically within our database are displayed. If we would have more news articles, they would also be displayed on this page. Currently we have 3 news articles, and they're sorted by the creation date, so the newest one is shown on top. We have the heading of the news article, the subtitle, the date published, and the image. Let's also go to sports now, and under sports category we should have a list of all articles which have the category sports, in this case FC Barcelona wins. Same for finance, we have our finance articles, and the same for weather. So basically we have all the categories. For all the categories we have the individual pages with articles being displayed only for that category. And you could, of course, if you plan on publishing such an app, you could add more articles and have a nice kind of segmented view for your users, because some might be only interested in sports articles and some only in weather, and so on. So let's actually take a look at an article. I'm just going to press on this finance article. And as you can see, we have the image of the article. The heading of the article is also displayed in this app bar here. We have it here again. We have the subtitle and the main content of the article, as well as the author and the category this is in. And we can go back by clicking this button here, take a look at another article as well. So FC Barcelona wins, and this looks quite nice. The last thing we just want to check is if the author link here works. So this should be clickable, as you can see, and let's actually click that. And as you can see, we're now brought to the author page of Noel Lawrence. We have the profile image of him, his name, and all the articles that he has published. And yeah, that's basically it regarding this Adalo news app. Should be a great introduction into creating multiple collections with Adalo, connecting them, and building a nice news app. Of course, you could add more functionality like ability to favorite the article. But yeah, I hope you learned something in this tutorial, and I'm going to see you guys for the next tutorial with Nocode HQ. Bye.